Awesome. Welcome, everybody. We are on Thursday of 211 week. So this is session 4 out of 5. We are 80% of the way through. We're going to give it just a minute for everybody to file in. Took us just a second to get that webinar open today. So we're going to give everyone just a minute to get sorted. Awesome. And I'm seeing some familiar names from throughout the week. So welcome and welcome back. The chat should be enabled. If you want to go ahead and use the chat just to introduce yourself, let us know where in the state you're coming from. And I don't know about y'all, it is much sunnier today, which is fantastic, but it is also incredibly windy. So if you hear my windows clattering around in their frames, know that the world is not falling down. It is just an old apartment going on in the background over here. Awesome. Hi, Karen. Welcome back. Pamela, welcome back. Yes, Jessica too. All familiar names. And Wendy, welcome. Hello, everybody. Perfect. It looks like our waiting room is slowing down just a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can get us rolling here, make sure that we stay on time for y'all today. But as I'm rolling, please do feel free to keep those introductions going in the chat. And then just a reminder, we do also have our Q&A feature open and available today. So if you have questions as we're presenting, if you throw those in the Q&A, if they're quick and easy, we'll answer them right in that moment. And if they take a little bit more time, then that helps us to go back to them and make sure that they get answered for you. So welcome to our data detective session. It is Thursday, February 13th. It is a miracle that I believe I said that correctly. And we are on our 4th session of 211 Virginia Week. And you can see that right here. So far this week, we have done our State of 211 Virginia presentation on Monday. On Tuesday, we launched our website, which is now live at 211virginia.org. And then yesterday, we offered a training on decoding the directory and getting into that new database. So today, we're going to be reviewing our 2024 data and kind of closing the case on our last data platform. Moving forward, all of our data reporting is going to be from our new platform. So this will be an exciting closing of a chapter, and we're hoping to have some useful kind of data points and information for you all today. Tomorrow's session will be our special grand finale. It'll be the Partners in Problem Solving session. That will begin at 11 a.m. and run until 2:11 p.m. I believe our schedule is that we will present a 411 on 211, run some games and do some activities between 11 and 12:30. And then at 12:30, we're going to welcome our 2 speakers. They'll take turns one after the other. We are welcoming speakers from the Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services and their No Wrong Door program. We're also welcoming presenters from Serve Virginia. And then we'll kind of wrap up that section by doing a quick presentation from our contact center director on the role that 211 Virginia plays in emergency management in the state of Virginia. And then, of course, we'll wrap up the week. We'll take just about those 10 extra minutes between 2 and 2:11 and just do a wrap up. Thank everybody for coming and recap the week. So tomorrow's session is going to be a big, long grand finale. You are welcome to drop in any time throughout, come in and out, go get lunch and come back. We have a lot of great information going on tomorrow. But our detective's docket for today is to do this welcome and an activities overview. Then we'll run through our 2024 data review, and then we have a fun trivia game for y'all. So be paying extra attention as we go through that data review. We'll be pulling questions directly from it in the trivia game. So keep an eye on those. And then we should have time for some Q&A today as well. So I will pass it over to my colleague Darian from the Northern region to recap our activities for the week.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending 211 Virginia Week. We really appreciate you taking your time out to partake in this wonderful annual event. So we have incorporated a few activities for this week, and one of them is being bingo. So if you haven't received your bingo card, please let me know and send me an email so that I can give you your bingo card. All you'll be doing is downloading the bingo card that will be found in your email. Mark off your squares throughout the week as they are action-based. Please tackle your activities as much as possible so that you can receive a prize at the end, possibly, because we'll have a drawing for all the ones who blacked out their bingo cards. And whoever the winner is, we will announce the winner next week. So, yes, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And I hope you are enjoying 2-on-1 week so far. So, at the end of 2-on-1 week, your bingo card should look like the bingo card to the right. We really want to see all your bingo cards. This is very exciting for us to implement this, and we're so excited that you guys are partaking in this. So we really want you to make 2-on-1 week memorable celebration. We also incorporated 2-on-1 week badges, attendance badges. So we really want to celebrate your participation, honor your partnership, and recognize your impact. Again, we are definitely thrilled to have you here. I know it's a lot for some of you guys. I know there's a lot going on. So just for you taking out the time to attend 2-on-1 Virginia Week, we really wanted to show our appreciation by giving you a badge each day. Each day you'll be presented with a badge. So if you haven't gotten a badge, also please let us know so that you can receive your badge. I've gotten a lot of requests for badges as well as bingo cards. So please know that you will get them before the end of the week is out. Don't freak out. You're really going to get your bingo cards and your badges. It just takes time. We have gotten a lot of requests, but be sure you will get everything that you need. And then towards the end of the week, I also want to say that you'll get a badge of excellence if you received all of your sessions, if you completed all of your 2-on-1 week sessions.
Thank
So
you
that
so much.
concludes activities. Thank you so much for attending 2-on-1 Virginia Week.
Thank you so much, Darian. And do remember to be checking your clutter, spam, junk folders. We are sending those badges out every day, pretty much right after the session. But we send them out to a big group of people, everybody that attended. So if you have kind of high security on your email, which is a good thing, it might be sending it to that junk folder as well. So go ahead and check those. And then, of course, as Darian said, you can always reach out to her to make sure that you get your badge if you attended and get your bingo card for the week if you don't have that. But with that in mind, we are going to go ahead and jump into our 2024 data review. Like it says on the screen, my name is Mary Monaco. I am your community engagement team lead, as well as the specialist for the Northwest region. So up here from Bath County all the way over to Louisa and up to the top of the state in Winchester, kind of where I operate. And you can see my email on screen as well. And I'm going to start today just by giving a little bit of information about our data collection process. And once again, a reminder just to utilize that Q&A function if there's anything that comes up as I'm presenting that you'd like more clarification on or you'd like me to spend a little bit more time on. So this is our regional map of the Commonwealth. You'll see this green region is where I operate. Yellow is over where Darian operates. Our navy blue down here is Brittany Boyd's region. Our purple is Nelson's. Orange is West Central, which is currently covered by our director, Amanda. And then Southwest recently got its own community engagement specialist in Miss Lori. So we're very excited to have full state coverage at the moment. And all 133 localities in Virginia have access to 211 Virginia. We are a fully statewide service. So when people list in the directory, we kind of sort those listings by regional codes, and that's also how we designate where our team needs to be. So those codes will match up with the region. And then every time somebody contacts 211 Virginia, we're going to be collecting demographic and situational data. So I'll talk more about exactly what that means and the type of demographic data we collect, what that process is. But kind of the point for this slide is that we're just documenting those conversations. And because we're documenting people from specific localities, but we are a statewide service, we're able to capture data that can present this big statewide picture, but can also zero down all the way to just data for a zip code. So we have this really cool multifaceted kind of data presentation and data access. So today's focus will mostly be on that statewide picture, but we do encourage you to reach out if you have any specific questions about your locality or the areas that you serve. And then just a simplified version of what we collect. So the types of data that we have over at 211 Virginia can kind of be sorted into two. We primarily have resource data or need data. So our resource data is the agency information that you all provide. So when you list your services with 211 Virginia, that tells us what services are available in which areas of the state, who's providing them, where there might be gaps in services, how many people are providing a certain type of service, that kind of thing. So that's our resource data picture. And then for need data, when we're talking about need data, we're going to be talking about who's contacting us, what they're asking for, and what information we're able to provide with them. So that'll be our individuals, that's the people that contact us, the contacts, which is the number of times that they contact us, or the methods that they use to contact us, their requests, and then the referrals that we are able to give or not able to give. And I'll talk kind of throughout the presentation, we'll see this referrals not given number. I'll explain what that means as it comes up. But essentially what you need to know for right now is that referrals that are given means that we completed that referral, it was handed to somebody, they accepted it, and they went out into the world to go call that agency. A referral not given just means that there was a stop somewhere in that process and we weren't able to complete that referral. So diving into that resource data, this is a look at our resource directory. Again, this is a 2024 picture, and these numbers of programs and organizations were pulled right at the end of the year in December. So these are actually probably going to be a little smaller than our normal day-to-day numbers. We're typically around 17,000 active programs, just because in December we were starting that data migration process. So we had some listings that were inactive that we were moving over. And so they didn't go into this big count. But typically we'll have about 16,000 to 17,000 active programs at any given time across over 5,300 organizations. So quite a comprehensive directory, lots of records to keep track of and move around. And then this chart here just shows you the split between our regions. So you can see about 10% of all of our listings are state programs or state services. About 15% are services located in or serving the northern region. Our Northwest and Southwest regions have the highest percentages of program listings, with Northwest programs making up about 17% of the directory and Southwest programs making up just under 20% of the directory. West Central is our smallest at just under 10%, which makes sense since it's only a few counties. And then East Central and Southeast both come in at just under 15% of the directory respectively. And then this graphic is our service listings by service category. So this isn't where they are, this is what they do. And the specific metric on this slide is the percent of agencies that have at least one service that serves that category. So 27.6% of our agencies have at least one program serving the category of government and information services. That's our largest category. This may be partially due to the administrative entity listings that we had to have in our previous database system. Those were counted as government and information services listings. So we might see that number come down a little bit as we phase out the administrative entity listings in our new platform. But it's still probably true that a good large portion of our directory has some kind of program that serves this kind of government or information services category. Our next biggest category is basic needs, coming in at about 18% of all of our agencies having at least one program that serves that basic needs. Following is going to be healthcare, mental health, and substance use resources, individual, family, and community support. And I'll pause on that one to explain it a little bit. That's kind of a catch-all category, but that includes resources for aging and disability. That'll include your family supports like kinship care, and family services. So it's kind of those supportive resources that don't necessarily fall into the other categories. Coming in at about 10% of our agencies serving legal, consumer, and public safety, about 7.5 serving education and employment. And then you'll see our smallest ones down here of arts, culture, and recreation, income support and assistance, volunteers and donations, and disaster services. And this was all pulled as of June 30th, 2024. So this is a nice mid-year picture of what was active in the directory. Moving into some historical stats. So we're kind of switching gears here from that resource data into our need data now. We're looking at contact records and referrals. So again, remember that blue contact bar? That's going to be how many times we were contacted in a certain year. So that'll be every call, text, chat, email, face-to-face, postal mail, et cetera, that was available in that year. That's that blue bar. The orange bar, we'd like to see be at least double that blue bar, and you'll kind of see that be the case for most of our years here, because that's the number of referrals that we actually gave out. So we always try to give people multiple options when we give referrals, which is why that orange bar is so much bigger than that blue bar. And then just reflecting that change over time. So you can kind of see starting about 6 years ago, this captures 6 years. In 2018, we had just about 100,000 contacts. That dipped in 2019, went up in 2020, down a little bit in 2021, and then started growing again in 2022 and has not stopped growing. This year we hit just about 130,000 contacts. And then our referrals number has kind of performed similarly. You'll see a big jump in referrals in 2022. We had a lot of housing assistance calls in 2022. We also had some disaster services calls. And then there were also COVID relief programs that were starting to run out of funding or no longer be available. And so we received a lot of calls from people who were no longer receiving aid from those programs, but needed to find something else to supplement their income instead. And so that's that kind of big jump in referrals there in 2022. And then you'll see we're sort of just starting to return to baseline as things begin to quote unquote normalize after COVID. But that contact records is still going up. And our contact volume throughout the year looks like this. So you'll see January to December mapped out here, and you'll see the contacts kind of spiked in January, over here in May, and then also in October of 2024. We typically see a contact spike in October. That is when a lot of heating assistance programs either open or close. So we get a lot of volume right around there, around those energy share programs and those types of things. May could be same but opposite, where we're seeing those cooling assistance programs. And then January could have just been coming down from, like I showed you, we've really got those contacts increasing, and we had a big bump in 2022, kind of continued into 2023. So it could have just been kind of coming back down and normalizing. And again, that was just about 130,000 contacts for the year. This is our contacts by region. So this, instead of how many, this is where people are contacting us from. And we've put two graphs on this slide to kind of showcase for you the difference between contacts and population. So this graph over here shows the percent of contacts that came from each region. And this graph over here shows the percent of the population that lives in that region. So the biggest differences that we'll draw your attention to are going to be in Southeast and East Central. You'll see that Southeast Virginia makes up about 22% of Virginia's population, but represents over a third of our contacts. So we do receive quite a few contacts from Southeast Virginia. Similarly, in East Central, the population there is just about 18% of Virginia lives in that East Central region, and we actually receive about 30% of all of our contacts from East Central. So almost 2/3 of our contacts come from Southeast and East Central alone. On kind of the opposite side, we have Northern Virginia. As I'm sure anyone who's driven up there can believe, about a third of the state's population lives right up in Northern Virginia, but they only make up about 17% of our contacts. And Northwest Virginia is in a similar boat, where we make up about 12% of the state's population, but only make up about 5% of contacts to 211 Virginia. So for these two regions, we know that there's a couple reasons that they might be underutilizing 211 Virginia. One could be just higher wealth. Most of our callers call in for basic needs, and so it's possible that there are just fewer members of those populations in Northern and Northwest that have that need. But that's just one explanation. And we know from working with you all that there absolutely still is demonstrated need in those regions. So of some other explanations could be in Northern Virginia, they have access to resources from DC and Maryland. A lot of people living in Northern Virginia work in DC or Maryland, and so it makes sense that they would be seeking resources in the area that they work in. And then there's also just the community engagement challenge of it all. We have historically not had the most representation from our community engagement team in the Northern and Northwest regions. Darian and I are newer in those positions. And so we're kind of seeing those numbers tick up a little bit as Darian and I get out into the communities up there. And then if you're from Southwest or West Central, congratulations, you are performing exactly as we would expect. And it's wonderful to see. It's my favorite. You can see 10% of the population lives in the Southwest region. They make up 9% of our contacts. Beautiful. And with West Central, it's about 6% of the population lives there. They make up about 5% of our contacts. So no significant differences with those regions. Then this is just a quick look at some of our demographics. What I really want to emphasize on this slide is our process. So this kind of note down here at the bottom, all demographic data that we collect is entirely voluntary, and we only ask for the information that's necessary to make a good referral. So we may have some organizations that only serve people in a certain age range, or maybe a women's shelter, those kind of things. So we'll collect that information to make sure they're eligible for the service and we're not sending somebody to a closed door. And they're also welcome to disclose on their own. But they are not required to disclose demographic data. We will never require somebody to disclose any demographic data to receive resources. And they can, of course, remain anonymous, which is why you'll see this big number in the undisclosed section of our reports here. So what that also means when we grant people that anonymity is that our number of unique individuals, when we say this many people contacted us in a certain time period, that's going to be an estimate because we're not accounting for those anonymous people. We're not sure whether they've called us multiple times or not. And then just one note on this age section. We don't get a lot of calls from people who are actually under 21, but we do get calls from people who are seeking services for our youth, and that would include any inquirers seeking services of infant and toddler connection. So that'll all go into that category. And then just to interpret this for y'all, so about 54% of all of our contacts from 2024 came from callers identifying as female, 20% came from callers identifying as male, and 26% were undisclosed. Age-wise, our largest category was that adults 22 to 54 with 41%. 19% disclosed that they were 55 or over, which places them in a senior citizen designation. And then 38% chose not to disclose. Then we've had some good conversations about language and language access throughout the week. So we thought this would also be an interesting point to show. These are our top 3 languages other than English. And a reminder, again, it's that 130,000 contacts. So of those 130,000 total contacts, 2,000 of them roughly were in Spanish. And then the 2 languages other that came as runner-up, you'll see English and Spanish are definitely 1 and 2. We had 11 contacts in Arabic and 6 contacts in Russian. So we are able to accommodate over 300 different languages with our information and referral services, but you will see us still mostly providing referrals in English and Spanish. And then this is that contacts by method. So what to really highlight on this slide is that the majority of people are still using the phone to contact us. I believe it was 86%, yes, for 2024 contacted us via the phone, so using that 211 or 1-800 number. We had about 2% that used that live chat feature to contact us. Our texts made up 11%, so that's rising and continuing to rise since its implementation in 2021. This year, we actually had some keywords go out via text. So during Hurricane Helene, people could text the word storm to get up-to-date information. And then afterwards, they could text the word donate if they were looking for ways to donate to the disaster relief efforts going on in Southwest Virginia. So we have had people utilize those, and that's probably behind some of the increase in text usage this year. And then this tiny less than 1% over here, that's all other contact methods. So that's going to be We offer some postal mail options for our incarcerated population. We offer some face-to-face interactions. Anything like that is going to be right in this little 0.5% right here. And then moving on from contacts to referrals. So remembering contacts is how many people contact us or how many times we are contacted. And then referrals is the total number of resources that we provide. So this number should always be about double or triple what that contact number is. For 2024, it was over double our contact number. So we gave over 266,000, so almost 270,000 referrals. And this is kind of a map of that volume throughout the year. So you'll see it match our contact volume with kind of a spike in January, not as much of a spike in May, but then that big spike in October that we typically see. And this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about referrals versus referrals not given. So referrals given is, again, those are the ones we were actually able to provide. So we went all the way from somebody had a need request, we searched for it, we found a resource or a couple of resources, we provided that to them, they said, thank you, I'll contact them, and we ended the call. Referrals not given means that at some point in that process, it didn't go as planned. So that could be that they hung up on us and they just ended the call, or they said, no, I don't want that referral. That would be a referral not given. It could be that we didn't find something in the directory for them. And that might be not necessarily that the resource doesn't exist or that we don't have the resource listed, but it might not be in their specific service area, or they might not be eligible for that specific service. So we'll get into those reasons and talk about that a little bit more, but I wanted to just make sure I gave that definition while we're on this slide so it makes sense to everybody. And you'll see that that number stays pretty consistent throughout the year. And then that average referral success rate. So when I say average referral success rate, what I'm referring to is that 93% of the time we are able to successfully give a referral. And that is per need. So it's possible that even that 7% for which we weren't able to give a referral, that person could have received a referral for another need on that same call. So it doesn't even necessarily represent somebody who wasn't helped on the call. It just represents that specific need we weren't able to provide a referral for. And again, we're operating at about 93% of all stated needs we're able to give at least one referral for. So we're calling that, if we go by report card rules, that's an A teetering on an A minus. So we'd love to see that get into a more comfortable 94, 95 percentage rate. But 93 is pretty good and something that we're fairly confident in. Then these are those referrals by need category. So this is, instead of looking at volume, we're splitting it up by those 17 AIRS, Inform USA, AIRS is the old name, needs categories that make up our taxonomy. And really the point of this slide is to see how far above everything else housing and utility assistance are. Food and meals comes in at a very solid third, but housing and utility assistance really just kind of dwarf all the other categories. You can barely even see arts, culture, and recreation. We did give 127 referrals to arts, culture, and recreation in 2024, but you can barely see it on this chart. For housing, we gave over 100,000 referrals, and we had 12,000 instances of referrals not given. And you'll see that red bar is representative of the referrals not given. That's going to be highest for housing, income support and assistance down here, and transportation. You can kind of see that red is just a little bigger in proportion to the blue than it is on some of our other bars. And then getting into those requests. So this is what people are asking for. This is represented by what our contact center employees searched for in the directory when they were on the phone or contact with the person. And so our top 5 categories by how often they're requested is going to be housing and utility assistance, again, coming in right at the top. And you'll see, once again, just dwarfing all of the other categories with, I'm not going to try to do mental math, but a couple of times more than the individual family and community support and food and meals that's following up behind them. So housing, we had over 41,000 requests for. Utility assistance had over 36,000 requests. Individual family and community support and food and meals both had over 7,000 requests. And then legal, consumer, and public safety came in with just under 4,000 requests. And one thing to note about this legal, consumer, and public safety category is that it can kind of be related to the others. So one example that we give is landlord tenant. That's something that we might understand as a housing issue, but that could also show up in that legal, consumer, and public safety service category. So just a reminder that this can kind of be tied to the other categories we see in our top 5. And then I promised I'd get into it. So these are those reasons for unmet need or reasons for referrals not given. So I already ran through the list, but we'll kind of look at them together one by one. So the number one reason that a referral wasn't given was that the individual was not eligible for the service we found. You'll see that represented in this navy blue. That's a little over a third of the time. And so what that means is that somebody asked for a service, we searched the directory, and we found at least one service in the directory that served that need and was in that person's location or service area, but they didn't match the eligibility requirements for the service. So we weren't able to complete that referral. So that's about 1/3, a little over 1/3 of the time. Then a little under 1/3 of the time, it's that no referrals were available. And I think this is probably the reason people think of intuitively when we talk about unmet need. They'll go, oh, okay, well, they just didn't have that resource in their directory. That's happening about 1/3 of the time. And again, that doesn't mean that we don't have any services serving that category in the directory, but it does mean that we don't have any in that specific area that the caller is asking for information in our directory. So that happens about 1/3 of the time. And then about 20% of the time, we actually see that the individual had already used all of the resources available in the directory. So we might not be their first stop in seeking for help. They may have already knocked on a couple doors, or they may have already worked with a program earlier in the year. And so if they've already used the resource, we're not going to send them back to somebody that they already know and are already working with. About 8% of the time we get hung up on, or they say, no, I don't want that referral. And then this little 1% means that even though we recommended and found something in their service area they wanted us to search in, they might have been too far from it just to access that service. So an example could be if you call in for Campbell County, picking a random one, and we refer a resource to you, but it's on the other side of the county, and you just realistically, you do not have time to drive over to the other side of the county, then that'll come up as an individual too far or distance too far, and we'll mark it in that little 1% category. But I do just want to reiterate on this slide, about 2/3 of the time when a referral is not given, we do have at least one resource in the directory that serves that category. It's just not, for whatever reason, accessible to that particular individual. So to us, that kind of indicates that maybe we have a good quantity of resources, but we need to be revisiting that resource quality, looking a little bit more carefully at those eligibility requirements, at how often people can come back, or looking at those wait lists, kind of looking at those capacity issues, as well as looking at just how many agencies we have listed. So some key takeaways. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at y'all, so I wanted to give you just a few kind of summary of everything that we've run through, and I'm happy to revisit any of the slides as well. So I mentioned that we have had an increase in contacts from 2018. So we went from about 100,000 contacts in 2018, and we had a 27% increase to hit 130,000 contacts this year, or last year, 2024. Still getting used to 2025. 86% of our contacts in 2024 were made via phone call. That remains the most popular contact method. We had that 93% average referral success rate, which once again means that 93% of the time we were able to provide a referral for the need that someone was stating via their contact. And we had a 5% increase in referrals from 2018. So not as big of an increase in referrals as we've had an increase in contacts, but we are still staying just about double, giving about double the amount of referrals as we are contacts. So we're staying right at that 2 or 3 times kind of goal. And just a reminder that for this year, we were able to give just under 270,000 referrals. So that's a lot of numbers to throw at y'all. I'm going to pause And I see we've got some questions coming in via the Q&A. And I saw we had one get answered in the chat, so I will answer that live just for the sake of the recording as well. We had a question come in about, can an agency provider utilize our website to research resources? We used to be able to, but currently that's down. And that's correct. We are releasing a brand new public search function that we are very, very excited about. It's going to be much more user-friendly and intuitive and give us a lot of abilities to customize. But all of those good things take a little bit of time. So that public search is not quite ready for 211 Virginia Week, but will be launched later in the month. And then once that search is available, not only will you be able to search for resources again, but you'll be able to search for resources more effectively and more easily. And then popping into the Q&A. Yes, that's a great question. And I see that got answered via the chat as well. Again, I'll answer it live just for the sake of the recording and anyone who might be watching this. But while that public search is down, how do we mark off searching for your organization on the bingo card? We anticipated the public search being live for this week, which is why that's on there. It'll go live later this month. Consider it an additional free space. You read it. If you visit the website, you can count it as that.
Mary, you have some questions in the Q&A section too. Do you see them?
Yes, I
Okay.
am peering through those. Thank you, Brittany. Okay. Karen asked if any of the service referrals would be documented as not given due to inaccessibility. That's not currently one of our reasons. I believe that would probably end up falling under that not eligible for services umbrella if we did run into that issue. And probably we could look at adjusting the wording on that category to make sure that it's inclusive to that as well. Will the new and improved 211 allow for closed loop or peer-to-peer referrals? So not on day one. One of the reasons that we're really excited about our new database system, VisionLink is our new vendor, is that they are highly, highly configurable. So our priority for year one is just to get in and make sure that we're operating, that we don't kind of have any gaps in service, so that we're continuing to operate, our services are good, our agencies are comfortable in the new platform, we've got data reporting going, kind of returning to operations as normal. Once we're there, the sky is kind of the limit with VisionLink. So if that's something that we see a lot of push for, that people are really interested in, they do have the capability for us to do those peer-to-peer or closed loop referrals. That's likely something that we would start launching with our partners and kind of start on a small basis and slowly release to the public. That may also be a paid option. We kind of have to figure out what the cost and all of that looks like as we move forward with VisionLink. But the short answer to that is yes, maybe eventually, and absolutely let us know if that's something that you would like to see in the future so that we can pass that information up. And then we have a question of when a referral is made, does that mean the service was actually given to the person? So not necessarily. We do a quality assurance survey, and we also do a certain number of follow-ups after our referrals are given. The data from that is a much smaller data set, and because it's kind of back and forth humans reporting to each other, it's not as strong and presentable as the data I've shared with you today. But we do some tracking of that to see if people are actually going out and receiving services. And again, that's something that we're kind of hoping to be able to report on a little bit better and more reliably in this new system. So that may be something you start seeing on our reports in the next couple of years. But for right now, the data that we're really confident in and being accurate is the data of just, we gave these people at least 3 options and they told us they were going to go contact them. Whether or not they actually received that service is another point of data collection. I apologize, we are seeing the sun for the first time in days, just that. But yes, that's kind of where we're at on follow-up and quality assurance data, if that makes sense. I know I kind of blitzed through those, so if there's further comments or questions, please feel free to submit those, or you can throw them in the chat now that I've kind of got my eyes on both. and I'll give just a minute. Okay. Seeing none, you are still welcome to use the Q&A and chat to submit questions, but we are going to move forward to our 2-on-1 Virginia trivia game, which is perfect because I am about to be completely blotted out by the sun. So I'm going to pass it over to the ever wonderful Brittany Boyd from Southeast Virginia to play a quick game of 2-on-1 Virginia trivia with y'all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mary. I am Brittany Boyd. I'm the community engagement for 211 Virginia, covering the Southeast region of the state. I am based out of Norfolk, Virginia, for those of you who are not familiar with me. We're just going to play a quick game of trivia just to test your knowledge, see how much you've been paying attention, how knowledgeable you are in 211 Virginia, and things that we have talked about thus far. Mary, thank you. So we have three different types of games. We have answer the question, multiple choice, and fill in the blank. For the purposes of this webinar, this game, we are going to utilize the chat feature. Feel free to throw your answers in the chat feature, and then we'll go through them and, say who's right, who's wrong, and just remember, we're all playing for fun. Unfortunately, this game does not have prizes. Be sure to keep it with your bingo cards because that's where the real prizes come in. And I will say this real quickly. I got to see the prize pack that's being prepared for the bingo winners. And I'm really jealous because there's some things that's included in it that I want for myself. But unfortunately, I'm disqualified because I work here. So be sure to keep up with your bingo cards and check off the ones that are applicable to you because I have seen the prize pack and I want it for myself. That's just all I'm going to say. However, in this game right here, there's no prizes. Just put the answer in the chat. And again, we're just playing for fun. So the first question is answer the question. What are the two types of data that 211 Virginia collects? And again, use the chat feature to throw your answer in there. Again, the question is, what are the two types of data that 211 Virginia collects? And this is answer the question, not multiple choice. Resources and need, resource and need, resource and need. Before we close out, anyone else? Population in each region and referrals, resources and need. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys about 10 more seconds before we reveal the answer. I see calls and referrals. All right, the answer is resource data and need data, which I saw quite a lot in the chat. So yay to those who got that answer right. We do collect resource data and needs data. Okay, so as Mary just presented on, a lot of what we do, not a lot, what we do, the gist of what we do is basic need resources. So we need to know what the resources are, and we also need to know what the needs are. And that is the two types of data that we do collect. The next question. Multiple choice. So we give you some help here. Approximately how many resource referrals did 211 Virginia give in 2024? Okay, I see 270,000. 270,000. Okay. I'm gonna give you guys about 20 more seconds to cast your vote, cast your answer. And this one is multiple choice, so we give you some ideas of what the answer could possibly be. I'm gonna give you guys about 10 more seconds. 270. Consistently, I see 270. Now, if I was a lottery player, there we go. 270 is the answer. If I was a lottery player, I would be playing these numbers right now. 270,000 is the answer for the amount of referrals that were given in the 2024 year by 211 Virginia. Next question. All right, fill in the blank. Over 1/3 of 2024 contacts to 211 Virginia came from the blank region. Go ahead and put your answers in the chat. I see Southwest, I see Southeast. I'm gonna give you guys about 25 more seconds before we reveal the answer. Southwest again. About 10 more seconds before we reveal the answer. Any more? Southwest again. Okay. Northeast. All right. Reveal the answer, Mary. The answer is Southeast. Southeast, one third of the contacts from the state came from the Southeast region of the state. And I will say this, out of the Southeast region of the state, majority of that was the Hampton Roads area. Am I correct, Mary?
Always, yes.
So, so this area, this region, utilizes 211 Virginia the most out of the entire state. And it's just no coincidence that it is my region. So if you are on this call, I say this every time, if you are on this call and you service this area and we have not spoken or connected yet, please email me. Just to say hello, just so that we know each other and we can start to build that rapport. But yes, in the 2024 year, over one-third of the contacts did come from the Southeast region. And next question. All right, this is answer the question. What is the most commonly used method to contact 211 Virginia? And Mary said this about 6 times, so everybody should get this right. Phone, 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 phone again, phone again, phone again. Okay. All right, reveal the answer.
Trying to help y'all out a little bit.
Phone is the number one resource, number one way that people contact us is through the phone. Over 85% of all 2024 contacts were made by the phone. We do have other methods of contact, but people love to talk to us, and that is one of the things that helps us stand out from other INR systems in the state is our phone system. And we are 24 hours, and it's always a live person, and I believe that's probably why the phone is utilized the most. Next question. Okay, multiple choice. So we're going to help you out here again. And you can just put the letter in the chat if it's easier for you. What was 211 Virginia's average referral success rate for 2024? Was it A, 97%, B, 83%, C, 93%, or D, 89%? And go ahead and put your answers in the chat. I will say reading this question just made me feel like I was the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Like I always wanted to go on that show. I always wanted to be a participant on that show, so
You
go
did
ahead and
wonderful.
I just wanted to phone a friend, but I don't know what friend I would phone.
Well, you
So
found 211. 85% do. There you go.
there we go. All right, I see C. I see 93%, which is C. I'm gonna give you guys about 10 more seconds to cast your vote for your answer, and then we will reveal the answer. Again, what was 211 Virginia's average referral success rate for 2024? I see 93%, which is C, a lot. And you are correct. 93% of was our referral success rate for the year 2024. All right, that concludes our trivia for today. Thank you guys for participating. Thank you guys for paying attention. Thank you guys for again participating and paying attention with us. Do we have anything else that we have to add before? Okay, Lori, is she
So
still here?
Lori had to hop off. She has a kid whose band practice got canceled. So we are actually going to go ahead and have Miss Brittany roll right through this last section too. I do also just want to say I did see in the chat wanting to be connected to the representative in Roanoke. So Wendy, I have taken your email down and I will get you connected with Lori right after this session. I'll send an email to put the two of you on the same email. And we are about to, that segues perfectly into this last Connect with Us section. So Brittany, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Mary. All right, so connect with us. There are several different ways to connect with us. We highly encourage you to stay connected with us. 211 Virginia Week is a great time for us to kind of get out and to connect with the entire state. And we want to keep that connection going throughout the whole year. It's not just a 1 week out of the year thing. So train your team about us. Let them know about 211 Virginia. Let them know about the informational sessions that we have coming up. Meet the squad, connect with your community engagement specialist in your region. I said it before, if you are part of the Southeast region of the state, especially Hampton Roads, because and I don't want to say especially Hampton Roads because then that excludes the rest of the region, okay? There's 26 localities in Southeast Virginia. And if you are part of those 26 localities, please email me just to say hi. Just to say hi, Brittany. I was on the call for 2-on-1 week and I just want to say hi. That's all. Okay. I'm going to email you back. I'm going to request a meeting. I'm going to take your time, but I just want you to at least make that connection so that we can stay connected throughout the year, not just for 2-on-1 Virginia week. And then again, stay on the trail, sign up for our newsletter, know what we have coming up. We throughout the year we do webinars and informational sessions, and we do a lot of other things as well. And just stay in contact and be in the know of what we're doing so that you can utilize that information. And then also follow the evidence, stay in the loop, follow us on social medias. We are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on LinkedIn at 2-on-1 Virginia. And then last but not least, visit 2on1virginia.org for resources, training, support. Some of our webinars that we do that are recorded will be living there. You'll be able to get connected to that information. But we want you and we encourage you to stay connected with us throughout the year, and not just for 2-on-1 Virginia Week. All right, and this is the squad. This is who we are. So if you are servicing the navy blue area of the state, then you will contact me. Hold on. I will be your contact person. Simply just send me an email. Like I said, stay connected. Let's become friends. Let's become partners. Let's work together. If you are part of this lavender purple situation right here, then you're going to contact Nelson. This is the Richmond area majority. Nelson is going to be your contact person. This beautiful orange color right here will be Amanda. Then we have the light blue, sky blue. It's not quite baby blue, but sky blue. That's going to be Lori. Then we have the green, money green. That will be our Mary. And then we have this beautiful bright yellow that is going to be Darian. So take a look at this at the map of Virginia and pinpoint where you are located, and that will be the person that you will contact. If your agency services multiple areas of the state, we want you to kind of focus more so on the actual physical location of your agency to make that be the pinpoint or who you will contact, contingent upon the physical location of your agency. But again, we all work together. We are a team. If just email us, and if you email the wrong person, we will make sure that you're connected to the right person. It's no big deal. But we want you to just email us. That's the catch. All right. So also, like I said, we are on social media. Follow us on social media. These are the QR codes that will get you connected directly to our pages. Follow us, tell your friends to follow us, engage with us, contact with us, comment, engage, all of that great stuff. You know how social media works. So go ahead and utilize the social media features that we have. And then let's take a recap of the week. So we have pretty much closed off all of our sessions, and we have one remaining, which is Friday, partners and problem solving. We have games again tomorrow. We've been playing games all week, okay? We have games again tomorrow. We're also going to have representatives from DARS tomorrow. We're also going to have representatives from Serve Virginia tomorrow. We have a lot of information, ways to partner and connect with us to really expand that connection and to, again, stay connected with us outside of 2-on-1 Virginia Week. We're glad that you are here this week, but we're very stingy. We want you all year, okay? Not just for a week. We want you guys to stay connected with us for the entire year. So we're going to talk a lot about that tomorrow. That session starts at 11. It's going to be kind of segmented. So we're going to have a section from like 11 to 12. Then we're going to kind of take a breather, like and then jump right back into it. And then we're going to be hearing from our representatives from DARS and Serve Virginia. So tomorrow's going to be a wealth of knowledge. Again, we're going to have games as well. So you're going to learn a lot and you're going to also have fun. And that's the best way to spend your Friday. So, and then we need you here tomorrow again so that you can finish that bingo card. Because as I stated before, I've seen the prize pack and I want it for myself. So I'm just saying. All right, and then coming up is the 2025 Virginia Volunteerism Summit with Serve Virginia. And again, you can register for that, and the information is on the screen. And again, they will be talking about that more tomorrow as well. And last but not least, thank you for your time today. For those of you all who have been with us all week, super thank you for taking your time out of your busy days, we all are busy. We all service the communities. We all have um, countless emails that we have to address. But you guys came to spend your afternoon here with us today, and we are so appreciative. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for your participation, and we will see you guys tomorrow.